Hello everyone, my name is the Chemist77 and welcome to episode 41 of Farming Minecraft. Now of course we are not in the Farming Minecraft world, we are instead in my redstone testing world. And there's a very good reason for that. So as you will have seen from the title and thumbnail of the video, we are building a cobblestone farm. And there is a very good reason for that. So as I am slowly building up larger and larger projects, just as I get some materials here, I have been needing much more stone and cobblestone to build things like observers and dispensers and droppers and hoppers and pistons, although hoppers don't need a cobblestone. Yeah, we've been needing a lot more of that sort of stuff. I don't know why that did that, but hey. And so, rather than constantly mine everything by hand, I want to build a cobblestone generator. However, of course, cobblestone farms and whatnot are not the most complicated. They're not going to take ages to build, and they're not going to take, ages to set up, or time lapse, or whatever. So what I thought I would do today is build a cobblestone farm, but sort of include you guys in a bit more of the design process. Of course, I've been in this world and shown off some parts of this world before, but never really shown up a full design process of a build. So I thought we'd do that today whilst we have got a bit of a shorter project. And so the first thing that I really want to go through is work out sort of how fast or how periodically I need to blow up the cobblestone. So I will need a flint of steel to light the TNT, and of course I will need the cobblestone itself. I'm not going to go for a stone generator because of course if we're blowing it up, it's going to be turned into cobblestone anyway. I debated briefly a while ago, somewhere over here in the mess, having like a stone generator. And then using pickaxes to mine it out. But I sort of have gone against that idea because it would just involve me using a pickaxe again. It's one more thing that I would actually have to be at. So, if I wanted to farm wood and cobblestone at the same time, which is something very useful for pistons, for example, I wouldn't be able to do that because my tree farm, I have to be there to place the saplings. So, what I'm just doing now is building up a little box of cobblestone. Now, this is going to be eventually how I want this to come in. So we'll have pistons here, and then the stone will come in the sides and get pushed down. So this is what will happen on all four sides. And then we'll have a TNT duper, the same one we've used all over the place. And it's going to blow up the cobblestone. And so that's blown up. No, probably around 3 layers there, I think. I don't know, maybe every 2 times to blow it up. And of course, we'll put the pistons a little bit higher up. So all we'll need to do then is have an observer and a sticky piston and an observer, and then basically every 2 times we'll fire something else to then set off the TNT duper. So let's, before we get the duper in, because that will probably be relatively easy to set up, let's focus on getting the stone in. We'll get rid of this. We'll make this a few blocks taller. And so yeah, we'll make this nice and tall. We have quite a bit of leniency with like how tall we want to make this, because of course we have the whole 12 block piston push limit to work with, which, since we're just pushing blocked into a blast chamber, it's not as if we've got to make complicated machines or something. Say if I was building a world eater or something like that, then we can sort of have a few blocks out and focus on where we want to have the actual stone generator. And so what we're going to use, we're going to switch to white concrete as the building block. And grab some stairs. I don't know what stairs we'll use. Probably use polished blackstone brick. And then we're going to waterlog all of those. And so this is where... Wait, that's not where our cobblestone's going to generate, is it? Of course, we can't have stairs there because that's where our pistons need to go. So we have pistons. We need to have our water down here. And then our lava should go there. And for some reason I've forgotten how to build a cobblestone generator. Okay, so after a small change of plan, because I couldn't remember how cobblestone generators worked, I'm not quite sure how I've got that. Yeah, we've actually have indeed gone for a stone generator, and it will probably look familiar, but the reason I had my change of plan is if I come over here, obviously if you want to make a stone generator, all you really need is lava and water. Right, so you have lava, you have water, and with any luck it makes cobblestone. Generally it's good to do this with a waterlogged block and you get cobblestone. The problem comes here because we have a 5 wide block system. And so basically how I'd originally decided to try and do it was to have, for example, water on here and lava drop down on top, or either the other way around as well. So you end up with lava. And it falls down like that. Of course, the issue with that, and of course, rather than water sources, that would be flowing water. The issue with that is where the stone generates, and it actually generates at the same level as where we would have our, or rather we'd want our pistons here, and rather than generate in front of the pistons, the stone or cobblestone, depending on how you do it, generates here, not here. And that was where I was forgetting about how the stone generators worked, which is yeah, a little bit stupid of me. And so basically it means that if you want to do anything this wide, you end up having to, you can't just get it to generate like right in front of the piston, because the only way to do that is as we had before with the, there we go. The only way to have it is with the stair and the lava like that, which of course is the problem because that means we need a stair here and lava there. And so that doesn't work. So rather than try and figure that whole thing out any further, what I've done is I have lifted the stone generator from the Skulk farm. I can't actually remember where this originally came from. But yeah, so I've lifted this stone generator here. You can see we've got some lava there. And waterlogged stairs just here. It's not exactly the same. I've put some white concrete. This one had a lot of slabs around to stop Skulk from spreading, but of course, because we're not doing anything with Skulk, it's fine. And I mean, if we wanted to as well, we could run the Skulk farm without, you can see it just over there, without actually having the mob farm on, which would send stone through, and then we can mine it with an efficiency 5 pickaxe. However, it uses pickaxe durability, it takes time to mine it, things like that. Personally, I'd much rather just have a dedicated stone farm. And so, basically, every time we send a pulse through here, we send stone through. Every time we send a pulse through here, provided it's short enough, we get some cobblestone, we get some stone through. And of course, because I've not hit the full-on system up yet, it's filled up through here. Like so. Now I am going to put as well some obsidian in here, just so we don't accidentally, it shouldn't happen, but it's just so we don't accidentally push cobblestone into the middle here, which is where the TNT will drop down, because we don't want the TNT to fall, and then because blocks end up here, it then blows up the entire thing, because that would be bad. And so now we've got this system set up. If I go ahead and get rid of some of this, all we need to do is copy it on all 4 sides. And there we go. So I've put stone generators on all of the sides. Obviously this is all still cobblestone. This will all eventually be just regular stone, like so. And so I think normally in farms like, or similar to this, I would actually run this, run an update detection system to fire these pistons. So we'd have something like a wall followed by an observer. So just grab a wall. I should be able to pick, block, and observer just here. And so what I normally have is an observer there, or a wall there, an observer there, and then redstone dust like that. That way, anytime a block went in there, it would all get pushed down. However, because of how we're going to need to run this, we can actually just connect these up to it. So this is all going to run off a redstone clock. So if we head over to our, we can see that this is, we have a little clock here. Now this is slightly longer than what it technically needs to. This is just to help with regulating for the skulk to make sure everything converted to skulk. In the actual farm, we use, as we can see over here, a 8, 6, 12. Wait, no, that's not right. 8, 6, 12. 8, 16, 24, 8, 32 game tick clock. Now that's because lava will flow every 30 game ticks. And I believe the extra 2 is there for the stone conversion. And so it works relatively well. So we'll probably just copy in this clock as well. And then all we need to do is connect it up to the rest of the generators. So we can have one clock which will just power all of stone generators. Of course, we are going to run into delay issues. So we'll just need to make sure all the repeaters are timed correctly. I guess they don't technically have to be running at the same time, but it's probably good to. Okay, so I'm just hooking up the lines here. And so we can see how I've done this is so we're going to have the clock here, and we're just going to link through this redstone line back through to here. And I have just had an idea that I want to test. And a little bit of insight into sort of my creative processing. Of course, we have repeaters that run into the note blocks here. And now basically what I want to see is, okay, if we eliminate that repeater, can we move the delay that goes into there from the repeater into the repeater coming out of this block? I don't think it will work because I'm pretty sure there has to be at least a repeater on the side of here for redstone powering, so you can only so a repeater can take a weakly powered block and emit a signal, or redstone dust will take a signal out of a strongly powered block only. But yeah, so we can see there this redstone dust didn't light up because this note block is only being weakly powered by the redstone dust, which is why we need to have a repeater there, which will then strongly power the block, which then if I just come over here, you can see will now work. So kind of annoying that that happens. We are going to have a slight delay between sort of these two and these two, but it shouldn't be anything too massive. So the next thing, of course, is going to be to build up said redstone clock. So I'm going to run something like that, and we'll probably... Oh. Probably run it like that, I imagine. We'll probably make this the powering. I did not mean to get furnaces. Make this the powering block. So then we'll have a sticky piston and a lever. And I don't like that. So we'll run it in from the top here. I mean, this is just how I like to do things. We'll make a relatively small platform out of concrete, just like so. So this will be our on switch. And then all we should need is our repeaters in. So hook everything up with redstone dust. Again, the dust will take out of these blocks because it's strongly powered. And then all we need to do is take up power, probably from these, maybe from these target blocks is possibly a good place to take it from, or we could just take it from here actually, is probably going to be best. And we're going to go ahead and power these pistons here. Okay, so I've actually gotten rid of all of the stone as well, just to make sure everything is at the same level. something hasn't quite worked out here. And I think it's just because I've got to place some blocks underneath the stone here. There we go. Right. It does seem that actually it has been working. And everything is getting pushed around. Perfect. And actually, because of how we've got this set up of 2 different lines of the clock and a little extra delay here, it does sort of go around in a circle, which is quite funny. And I'd argue just as satisfying as it being all in unison. I want to get rid of some of this stone here. And now we can work on the last little bit of the design process, and that is the TNT drop. Now I just want to double check that is central, which it is. So our TNT is going to drop onto this block here. And so what I'm going to use is the iceberg lettuce TNT duper that I've used everywhere. I've used it here, I've used it there. Clay farm, I've used it basically every farm that I have that uses a TNT duper, including slightly here. This is, I can't even remember what this was for. I think this was for the tree farm. But yeah, so I want to get that put in. Make sure I know exactly where everything's going. I might pull up another one of my schematics as well, just to get it in the right place. Now, whilst I'm building this up, the other thing I want to do is use a feature in the carpet mod. So I'm going to go /carpet, and I believe explosion, no block damage is what I want to do. And what that means I can do is I can light. Oh, dearie me. Well, that's a good demonstration of what happens when I don't turn it on. So it's currently set to false. If I change it to true, it means I can light TNT down here, and nothing will happen. Like that. Very useful feature of the carpet mod, and you can see here I've just pulled up the schematic of my concrete factory. And I'm just using that as a template for building up the duper. Okay, so I've just put up TNT duper. We can add a few little spawn proofing things. And basically, every time that fires, the TNT will get struck down. Now we can see the TNT is actually exploding before it gets to that obsidian block. That's sort of our target. And so what we can do is basically just shorten the delay here. Like so. And I've still got the explosion, no damage, just in case anything goes wrong. And so we can see that does hit the obsidian block. It hits it probably a little bit early before it explodes. So we're going to go back to this setup like so. And adjust the repeater delay. So let's say we have extra repeaters there, both set to 2 ticks. And we'll just come down, and that explodes basically as it hits, which is exactly what we want. So our repeater timings are sorted out. All we need to do now is adjust basically how often we set this off. So at this point I want to be thinking of, okay, where do I want to link this up to? And it's probably going to be to this line, which has the observer firing off of it. And this seems to be working. We've got some cobblestone coming through somewhere. I'm not entirely sure why. Sometimes it does seem to happen, which is very odd. I wonder whether the clock is a little bit too fast. So it might be worth just extending it a little bit. What that should do is add an extra 4 game ticks onto it. I don't know why I put that there. So it should still function the same. So we've got the actual proper farm bit designed. Now all we need to do is design a collection system, and this is going to be pretty much the same as we always use. And there we go. So we've added a quick little simple storage system array in. If I really wanted to, I could use a proper shulker box loader like we had over at the lava farm, but honestly, probably, well, one, it's probably not quite that fast enough for it, and two, probably you won't need access to multiple shulker boxes loads of the time. So I've just hooked up a little hopper system here, which will work like so. Obviously, because it's only cobblestone we're going to be producing here, we don't need any item filters. But I have still used the little honey block trick, because that means that there's no risk of items getting stuck in the little sort of hopper divot, which can sometimes happen. And then obviously up here, we've got a little water basin, which flows down into there and across like that. So if we set our tile drops to true, I believe that should give us cobblestone drops from explosions. Right, there we go. And there we go. So we've gotten rid of all of the relevant bits of stone. So the next thing to do is to make the schematic. Now, if you've never used Matica before, making a schematic is generally pretty easy. All you need are some blocks and a stick. That is if you haven't changed anything in the settings. So Matica has something called a tool item, which by default is the stick. So I press my hotkey, I will turn the tool item on. I believe there isn't a hotkey by default. That is something that you can change in the config menu, which I believe is in general. Yep, tool item. You can see it's set to Minecraft stick. And you'll notice in the bottom left there, there's various different things, which if I hold a modifier button that I have set, again in the config, I can change between modes. Now, realistically, the only one that I'm going to use is area selection, at least in this case. Sometimes I will use edit schematic, which lets you sort of change blocks within the schematic if you want to use a different scheme, for example, or block palette. But for this case, because we're making a schematic, we're using area selection, and basically what I need is 2 blocks. Now the way I like to do it is the most negative and the most positive corners of the schematic. Just because a lot of Minecraft commands, most notably the clone command, will go off like the most negative. So negative X, negative Y, negative Z. So I'm going to look in my mini HUD. You can see negative X, negative Z is this corner, and then it's down. So this is sort of the most negative on the X and Z, and then all you do is fill down like so. Now I like to use diamond blocks for this, mainly because they are a sort of distinct block that I don't really use whenever I'm designing anything like this. And the other thing I want to turn on is the selection box. Again, it's a hotkey I have set, and at this point I'm going to left click on this most negative. You can see we have a big box, and that's just from where I last used this, which was over for the chorus fruit farm. You can see over there. So the next thing to do is find the most positive. So I'm gonna sort of create an extra line out from here, which meets at this corner, and then I want to check the most positive Y value here, which this case is 98. So I'm going to make sure that this is looking at block 98, as you can see there. That's this bit of text up here. And then we're going to get rid of everything else. And we're going to take our stick, and then I'm going to right click this time. There. So there's two different boxes with this. One as in like two different corner box selections. One is placed by left clicking and the other placed by right clicking. So yeah, if you do both there, then it creates nothing. So that one's set like that, and then I can left click, does that. I'm going to do one last check just to make sure that everything from the farm is included in the borders. Which I think it is. And then I'm going to make sure I'm not holding the stick. And I'm just going to punch out diamond blocks. Sometimes I do forget to do that, which is why some of my schematics have 2 diamond blocks listed in the material list. And so then what we can do is if I open up my Lightmatica settings, we go into area editor. And again, you can change the selection box like so. So you can see if I change this, it moves the box like that. Then I'm going to select a name for it. We'll call it cobblestone farm. Hit set. Now this bit here, subregion box name, you don't need to do that. I don't really fiddle around with subregions. And so then we're going to hit save schematic. It opens up the schematic directory. Obviously it's not a plant farm, so I'm going to come out of there. And I'm not really sure where I'm going to put this. Probably just in the general schematics folder. I could put it in contraptions, but it's not really that much of a contraption. Yeah, so we'll just save it straight in here. You can see I've got all sorts of plant farms there, all sorts of contraption stuff. That, mob farms, plenty in there. So we have that saved. So we can now exit, turn off the box and the tool item. And then what I can do, hop into the actual farming Minecraft world. And we are actually where I want to build this, which is the industrial district, of course. So generally what I do is I pop up here, go into free cam, that way it's a little bit easier to spot some spaces. And then we're going to load schematic and cobblestone farm, hit load, make sure we got our rendering mode on. And from there we can place it to wherever we want. I think probably just behind the lava farm is going to be a good place for it. And so what I can do is go into schematic placements. And we can remove that as well because we don't need that anymore. And I can adjust this as needed. Come out of the menu again so I can sort of move a little bit closer. Like so, go back into the menu. And there it is. And I'm probably gonna move it a little bit further this way. Like so. So yeah, then all I've got left to do now is gather the materials, which is here. It shouldn't be too much. And yeah, once I've done that, we can build it. So no point in keeping you guys around for materials gathering. So yeah, I think we'll hop straight into a time lapse. Probably won't be a very big one. And yeah, go from there. there we go. Hopefully, one stone blast chamber built up. The schematic says there's nothing wrong with it. I can go into the verifier. You can see it's just a few things in the wrong state. That's the resident. That's the TNT duper. These are just the wrong notes, which makes no difference. And then there's some extra torches for the spawn proofing things that I completely forgot about. So in theory, if we turn this lever on, we should start producing stone, and I can turn that off. And we'll hear all the lava go. There goes some TNT blowing some things up. We'll have to sort that lighting stuff out, otherwise we'll end up with loads of endermen spawning. I probably should have used crying obsidian, because crying obsidian does emit light. And we can see now. We are indeed getting some stone. Oh, there's a bit of cobblestone landed on the edge there. So if we come down here, okay, there's a few torches in there. But we are getting plenty of cobblestone. I think the sun comes in the top here as well, yep. Just because of how hoppers work. So that is all fine. And yeah, basically I can pretty much just leave this running for a bit. And we should have plenty of shulker boxes of cobblestone to make lots of observers, lots of pistons, things like that. And here have some endermen spawned. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this slightly different episode of a little bit more of the creative process, showing that quite often I have a lot of stupid moments of my own, such as forgetting how a cobblestone generator works. Oh yeah, so obviously for things like the sculk farm and the tree farm over there, the design process takes a little bit longer, it's a bit more complicated, but fundamentally is basically the same thing for any time I'm designing a farm. Obviously, if I'm using a farm designed by somebody else, then I don't have that design process to do. But yeah, no, very excited to have this up and running at last, because it does mean we now have loads of cobblestone and we can just run this whenever we are in the area. And also, if we need it, we can take a shulker box of this, take it over to the super smelter once I fix it, and yeah, smelt that down into stone. I'll probably fix it on stream next week. It's probably something that needs to get done. I do have a working schematic, and so yeah, we'll just go off that, do a little bit of jiggery pokery in it, and yeah, very exciting. And speaking of streams, and I don't think I mentioned this yet, but a couple weeks ago, I actually started a new streamed world. And it is hardcore, but it's got a slight twist. And so instead of just vanilla hardcore, because I don't want just another vanilla world to be doing stuff with, I have gone for create mod hardcore. Now, if you don't know what the create mod is, it is a fantastic mod filled with lots of automation and stuff, pipes and gears and cool things like that. So yeah, if you wanted to check that out, that is over on my VODs channel. I'm not going to be turning that into like videos for the main channel over here, just because it would be a lot of work. And I am due to start back at uni for my final year soon. And yeah, I don't want to give myself too much workload on what ultimately is sort of not high on my priority list. So yeah, so if you want to check out how I get on in that world, then you can check the VODs over on my YouTube VODs channel, or check the VODs on twitch.tv/thechemist77. So yeah, I've been actually getting on quite well there. I'm up to day 75, I think, and I've not died yet, which is very good, because if you remember, in this world I died relatively quickly to a creeper. But yeah, we've got a really good spawn with a mushroom island. So yeah, so I think I've done 5 streams on that. And so that is sort of going to be streamed every Thursday. If you want to keep updated on my stream stuff and my stream schedule, then you can check out some of the panels in sort of the about page on my Twitch page. But yeah, I also occasionally I try to post stuff on Instagram about like when I'm going live and things like that. Although I've not been great at that recently. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. And yeah, I will see you next time. Bye!